Welcome back to the Barely Qualified podcast,
where we put faith over credentials,
obedience over comfort,
and we talk about a life on mission. Let's jump in. Today, we are talking about all the ways that the Lord has provided for us that is not financial.
Well, some of it's financial.
Sure.
But all the ways that God is caring for us and providing for us the way he promised he would. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and so we figured we would share with you guys like an overview of all the specific ways, because it's unique, and each person he will provide for in a unique way to share his love specifically with that individual, and he's blessed our socks off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think before we talk about how the Lord is providing for us that isn't money, I think we should talk about first, we've been missionaries, so you quit your job in December, I quit my job in April. So really we could say since May, we've been full-time missionaries. So May, June, July, we're like halfway into August. It's been about 3.5 months that we've been full-time living and trusting God to provide for our needs spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and certainly
physically,
financially.
And financially, yes.
Yeah, so it's been about 3.5 months, and so I think it would be a good idea to start with what did we think provision would look like?
Yeah, man, I feel like for me, I thought it would look like. I mean, I knew it would look like the bare minimum in terms of that our bills will be paid. Like I wasn't expecting to be rich. Mm-hmm. I was never becoming a missionary thinking that he was gonna make me a millionaire. There's still time. I don't know, over the course of our life.
Hope.
I know there are people who have lived lives of being like faithful stewards to him and sacrifice everything to him, and then later down the road, he totally does lavish them. But that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting to be fully funded really quickly. Mm-hmm. We have a goal of $8,000 in monthly support, and I was expecting that to happen real quick, like in 3 to 6 months or something. I don't know. I was expecting it to just be boom, the first 50 people that we asked are all going to say yes and partner with us financially, and but that's not how it worked out. But how did you think that this was going to shake out? How did you expect God to provide?
Yeah, well, so first of all, practically, I'm a budget keeper. We keep a budget. We manage the budget. Every dollar that we spend goes in to every dollar, the platform that we use.
It's called a $0 based budget.
And we've been using this same budget system for the last 9 years. So the reason I say all of that is that I know exactly how much money comes in. I know exactly how much money we spend. So when the Lord told us to jump off the cliff and to quit our jobs and to rely on him full time, I had a weird level of peace. I was telling the people in my life, my closest friends, and saying, I almost just have this, arrogant faith. I don't really know how else to describe it other than I knew that God would provide for me.
We were 100% convinced that God was calling us to this and that he would provide.
Yes, no doubt about it. So, because I had this, intensely confident it's going to happen, I thought provision from the Lord would mean that my budget would balance every single month. And we've had stories of people in our life that we know from a different time. I think of Caleb, who back when we were new believers, so 10 years ago, he quit his job, and he said the Lord had called him to quit his job. And for 6 months, he didn't work at all.
It wasn't like he was on a mission. I mean, he was serving the Lord. He was on the worship team. He was meeting with people. He was being a discipler. But it wasn't like he was a missionary
he
and
wasn't
support raising. Right.
And the Lord he would tell us stories. The Lord would bring in to the cent the money that he needed to pay his mortgage and pay his bills and do all these things. Yeah. And so I guess in my mind, I'm that's what's going to happen. Every month my budget is going to balance. Because I even think in the beginning, there were things where it's should we buy this? Should we buy this? Because the income's not there. There were months where it's okay, we're still $2,000, $3,000 short of money we've already spent. So it's kind of this idea of should we buy this? But the Lord just gave me this peace that's we ask the Lord before we buy something, like, God, is this okay? Is this,
Literally where we shop, I was on my knees asking God, should I shop here or should I shop there? Like, we genuinely take our decisions to the Lord financially.
And so when he says yes, when he's like, yes, you can buy this, then even if I don't see the money yet, even if it's not committed support
Even
yet.
when I don't see it, you're working.
Yeah, I was thinking of Katie's song.
I may not see the ram yet.
Yeah, like I may not see the money, but
Worship
it's
on the way. Katie Brown, fire.
fire. Anthem of our lives. Yes, all of this to say, so I thought it meant that the Lord would provide the exact amount of money that we needed. And then month over month, that didn't happen.
Yeah, like 3 months in a row, we were short in terms of the budget. And what the budget said, it was like red, thousands of dollars worth.
Thousands of dollars. Like, we're not talking $100, like 3,000. I think the first month was 3,000. The second month was $4,500. And the last month, right now, we're sitting at about $1,700.
And you might be thinking, oh, well, they probably had like a nest egg, like that they. No, this is all after we'd already gone to zero on our nest egg.
There wasn't even really a nest egg at all. And if there had been, it's certainly gone. Like, this is just money that is not coming in that we have straight up already spent. So all of this to say, like, in that first month when it didn't happen, I did kind of take a dip. Like, I actually remember sitting on my bed questioning if God was real. Like, actually sitting on my bed going, Lord, like, you said that you would provide for us.
You gave me this confidence.
You gave me this confidence. You told me to quit my job. I agonized over that decision. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed again. And every morning I woke up going, I've got to quit this job. I have to quit this job. So it was like an intense frustration, honestly, at the Lord of just going, what the heck? And really questioning, like, maybe this whole thing isn't real. Like,
do I even have a relationship with God? Do I even hear from God? It was a dark couple of weeks for you.
I was having a tough time, okay? I will say, I was having a tough time. And the reason why is the main point of this message, is that his provision didn't look how I expected it to.
Yes.
So to me and my human brain and my limitedness thought he wasn't providing for us, right? So the first month goes by and we're short. And so kind of just to share with you some real personal information about Josh and Rebecca, we have credit cards. We have for the 9 years that we've been married, but we have always...
Not the whole 9.
Okay,
but
whatever. Don't we have a rule about this?
My bad.
We do. We have a rule. Anyways... For 9 years, we've had credit cards, and we have always paid the full statement balance.
We have self-control knowing that we don't use it like a credit card. We use it like a debit card. Like, this is money that we are spending because we have it.
But rewards are too good not to use them. And
we've made thousands of dollars off of credit card rewards. There's lots of benefits. Dad,
if you don't have self-control, then...
I'm sorry, Dad. I love you. We have a difference of opinion on this. We respect each other on it.
If you don't have self-control, then don't have credit cards. But for us, we don't spend more than... Well, minus the last 3 months, but that's a whole different story. That doesn't count, okay? It's not the same. But prior to this, for the last 9 years, we have used the credit cards, paid the full statement balance. Okay, flash forward. The first month goes by, we're like $4,000 short. And so then so really, I mean, if you know anything about credit cards, it's about 30 days after you spend the money that you actually end up having to pay the bill for the money that you spent, right? So the first one goes by, and the next month comes, and I'm like, holy crap. We kind of panic, and I'm like, we need to change all of our credit cards to just paying the minimum balance, which is usually like $25. Because I was like, there's not going to be money in the account because we're $4,000 short. Like, we're screwed, is essentially the thoughts going into my mind. So then we start having conversations about, like, okay, then, like, we're going to go into credit card debt. We're going to go into credit card debt to fund the ministry.
Yeah, that's what we realized. We realized that if this goes south, or if the Lord doesn't provide, what it will tangibly look like in our lives, it will look like credit card debt.
Right, and I remember there were people that asked me, like, do you have a cutoff point? At what point, like, if you go into debt this much, will you abandon the mission? And we sat with that for a couple of days, and I remember just going, I won't abandon the mission.
Unless God directly calls me out of it, this is the mission he's put me on, and I will serve it to my literal end.
Yes, because even if I don't see the provision now, it's coming. It's coming, so I won't quit, right? Okay, so then we change all the credit cards to $25. It's like, that's all we can afford, whatever.
It was funny, yeah, you really had like a panic where you did switch all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think that we talk a little, I don't know how much we've talked on this podcast specifically about this, but we in general talk a lot about how the man is the spiritual leader of the house.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean the man makes all the decisions. That doesn't mean a lot of things that people take and skew that verse to be. It just means that the man sets the tone for the joy level and the faith level and the peace level.
Yeah.
Like the man, just that's the way God designed it. He designed the man as the head. So like what the influence that he has is stronger and more powerful over the family. And so that at that point, I kind of created my own budget. I don't know if you remember this. I mean, we still kind of use that. It's I was wrestling with, okay, how do we actually define if God is providing, because it kept going like a little deeper and deeper than we were expecting it to go. So it's like, okay, how do we actually define God providing for us? And we got to the point where it was like, if every bill is paid, that will mean God's provided. And at that point, there were still no bills that had not been paid. We hadn't done any minimum payments. They were all, I think
everything was being paid in full.
They were all being paid in full.
We were anticipating not being able to pay them in full.
Yes.
That's what this was. I was
there
like,
wasn't enough money in the checking
there is not
account
enough money
to pay the upcoming credit card balances.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But then 1 month goes by. All of them are paid.
Yeah. That was literally the next month. We paid all of the first statement balances. So we changed them all to 25. And then the day of, we would go look in the bank account and go, okay, this credit card bill is $2,000. There's $2,200 in the bank. Should we pay it? And we're like praying. We're like, yep, let's pay it. The money's in there. Let's pay the bill.
Absolutely.
And so a month goes by. All the credit cards are paid. The second month goes by. All the credit cards
are paid. Like food is in the house. It's not like we're
eating normal. I'm not eating rice and beans. I'm not eating top ramen. We are eating the same normal things that we've been eating.
Particularly because God has called us our family to a journey of health, and for you specifically, eating well is extremely, extremely important. And so He's called us to, He confirmed this over a few different things, but it was like the Levites got the first fruits. They got the choice meats. Like they were provided for and cared for lavishly, even though they didn't have an income.
Yeah.
Like they were provided for, and we in a way are modern day Levites. Like we are serving the Lord and His workers, and so we believe fundamentally that God does not call people who are called to mission to be poor. I think some people maybe that's a unique call for you to like live in poverty and work in. I don't know, but that's not where.
But I don't think it's fair to say that's a generalization.
Not an overarching blanket. I don't believe that's the heart of God.
I actually think as missionaries, it's our job to push back on that narrative because that's. Like, what does that really say about God? If you're saying, oh, all the people that He chooses to do His work for a living every single day, right? I mean, we're all chosen. We're all supposed to spread the gospel. But for those of us who said, like, hey, this is your life calling, what does it say about God that it's like, oh, I'm meant to suffer every single day?
I mean, we could take this conversation a long ways because there is value in suffering and there is value in sacrifice and all those different things. But we just genuinely believe that God's heart is to provide for all of our needs and to care for us lavishly.
So I think kind of to like summarize, what we're trying to say is that we haven't changed a lot about our lifestyle. Like we've even still done fun things, like not an exuberant amount, but like there was a time when we took the kids to the movie and it was like, Lord, like, should I spend $50 right now to take the kids to the movie? And He said yes. And I was like, all right, okay. Because we still have a family. We're still humans. We're still parents, all of the things, right? And
we didn't want our kids to resent missionaries or resent ministry workers or ultimately resent God for like a lack of certain things in their childhood. Now, maybe if they look at it on a materialistic standpoint, maybe, but even then, we'll talk a little bit about ESA in a little bit, but like God is still caring for them deeply and directly. And
I actually remember you just said that. It makes me think of, Pierce and Diana, a couple of our mentors that we talked to when we were like, hey, I think the Lord is telling us to quit our jobs. And like, we don't have a nest egg. We're not prepared. Like, it seems kind of crazy. And we have these two kids. Like, what do you think about this? And they had shared with us their story and how, they have kids and they quit their jobs. And I remember one thing they said to me just stuck out. They're like, God has never forgotten my kids. God has never not provided for the needs of my children, ever. And I remember sitting there going like, yeah, it's going to be fun.
In a praise report, Arizona said...
Who's our daughter?
she said, this was maybe a week ago, she's like, I'm so glad that you guys
Quit your jobs
and became missionaries. She's like, we get to spend more time together. Like, I'm emotional about it because it's just so tangible of God. Like, I guess that would be the first one of how God's provided. She is having a more than positive experience now that we've become missionaries rather than it being negative. So I don't know, just that's
our
incredible.
life is just more in balance now,
Yes.
which is probably a whole nother episode and not the point of today.
We've already gone in the weeds way further than we thought we would
I don't
at this
even think
point.
we've gotten into the main conversation. Okay, listen, we're talking right now about what were our expectations.
Yes.
Our expectations was that God would provide the exact dollar that we needed, and that didn't happen. Kind of. It didn't happen to the budget, but to this date, every bill has been paid.
Yeah, and I think part of going back to what I was saying about the spiritual leader of the house, that came from me. Like, you were in this kind of spiral, and I was kind of had to be like, babe, like, have we missed any bills? Have we missed any payments? If the answer is no, then we cannot say God hasn't provided.
Yeah.
You know, if He is provided, if whatever, what I just said.
Yeah.
And so I was able to set the tone in that. Again, this is not tooting my own horn, but it's just encouraging men. Take a stance. Like, if you feel God convicting you in a way, go with it, because God will bless it, and He will, within biblical guidelines. So
I was just going to say, don't abuse your power.
Don't abuse your power, but if He's leading you in a way, it may be because you need to push your spouse and you need to pull out faith in them. And so I think that was one way that I pulled faith out.
Well, yeah, you think of like Abraham. You know, remember that message? I don't even know who spoke it, but you remember
the Bible show.
Yeah, you remember the message, and he's like, why didn't Abraham remind his wife?
How did Abraham
You are a
miss
part of the
this with
process.
Sarah?
You are a part of the promise. The children will come from you. And instead, she's like, here, have sex with my servant or whatever.
The entire time, she's convinced that she's the problem, and the promise is not for her.
Yes.
It's only for Abraham. When God from the beginning said it was from you and Sarah, like,
yeah,
he
it
missed
was Abraham's job to comfort his wife and
Right.
to remind her that she was cared for and a part of the promise, and he didn't. And he failed.
And that led to literally the Nation of Islam today.
Tough. Anywho, back on topic. Let's not touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
Good call.
Okay, but I think, something that we talked about just kind of briefly is the idea that the Jews missed Jesus. They missed Jesus. They missed the Messiah because he didn't look like how they expected him to look. They expected him to come back as a warrior who would free them from the Roman Empire. They expected him to be a warrior. They expected a bloodbath. They expected
a conquering king right off the bat. Now, Jesus is the conquering king. He's the reigning, ruling God of the universe. But in that time that he came as a man, the incarnation, it didn't look the way they expected it to look, so they missed it.
So they missed it and rejected it. And I think, that those 2 weeks when I was even questioning if God was real, I mean, obviously I knew, right? But I was wrestling with doubt for sure.
Right.
And so I think in that season, I was doing exactly that. God's provision didn't look like how I expected it to, so I was missing it and dismissing it and rejecting it. Like, none of that was good enough to me in that season because it didn't meet my expectation. Right?
Yeah, so I guess the call is reevaluate your expectations of who God is and how he's going to show up for you based on what you read in the scripture. We got to take everything back to the Bible. That is our foundation. That is what God has given us to reveal himself to us. And so the scripture never says that, I don't know, he never said that he was going to be this conquering king as a Messiah. It literally said he was going to be the suffering servant, and he was going to be beaten and mocked and ridiculed and killed. But they had this, they didn't see the truth of those statements because they had a skewed perception on it. And so in your life, where do you have maybe a skewed perception on God and the way he loves you and the way he should care for you? Because he is good. I can tell you he is good. So go spend some time reading the word and figure out who he is so you can realign your expectations with the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you happen to be a missionary listening to this, if you happen to be somebody who relies on the support of the Lord financially to live and breathe and be alive, I think the call for you there is the same, is where is Jesus providing for you? Where do you see the provision of the Lord that isn't financial? Because when we actually sat down to write the list, there's an overflow of provision.
We had to stop writing stuff down because there were so many different
we're never
going to
get through this in an hour. Yeah. All right, so let's kind of jump in. So what are some of the things that the Lord has provided for us that is not simply monetary support?
Yeah, I was going to say this is my favorite. I have so many favorites. I think where I'd like to start, the first way God started changing the paradigm for us in this particular way was one of our partners said, hey, like I'm all in for this mission. We're not in a spot to provide financially, but I used to cut hair for 30 years. I would love and be honored to cut your family's hair for free. Yeah. And, you actually start thinking about that. You add up, because our kids go to Sharky's, which is, it's not exactly cheap.
$45 a pop.
Right? We've got sports clips and you've had, your number has gone up and down.
I will be sad that I'm leaving my hairdresser.
Yes.
She's a good friend.
She's awesome. But, I mean, on average, it's $100 to $200 a month, depending on if we're all getting haircuts or not.
Right. And so it's like, exactly. It's probably $150 to $200 a month in haircuts.
That's not money that's into my account, but it's money that didn't have to go out of my account. And also, that relationship is so rich and beautiful. Yeah. Like, she literally came and helped us. We'll talk about this in a second. We got our full deposit back because we buffed that house out, and she was a part of that. So again, like, there are partners and people who maybe aren't giving financially, but are advancing the mission with us and for us in a unique way, in the way that God has specifically called them to.
Well, yes. And I also think of the scripture that it's like, silver and gold I do not give to you, but whatever I have, I give to you.
Yeah.
Like, in that specific instance, it's a little different, right? Because they're talking about healing in the salvation of Jesus Christ, right? But in this case, that is what we're seeing. Like, we've had most of what is on this list comes from people saying, like, hey, we can't give to you financially, but we have this, but we can do that. Like, and that's an encouragement for anybody. It doesn't have to be money. Like, wherever you are in this country, whatever church you're a part of, whatever community that you're in, your support, often even money, sometimes money is the easiest thing to give, right? But to come to my house and spend 3 hours in the heat scrubbing my walls to clean my house.
Amazing.
So first, haircuts.
Yeah.
We don't have to pay for haircuts anymore.
We don't. And
thank you, Jesus.
My hair's looking fresh.
Yes. What else?
Okay. The next thing I think I'd like to talk about is how God refined, purified, and added the people in our lives.
Yeah.
There's some people that have walked away that, looking back months later, we're realizing was a total gift from God, that they're no longer there.
Yep. But really painful in the moment.
Yes, but simultaneously, my parents moved from Northern Arizona to the Valley.
Yeah.
Knowing that it was going to be hot, like, the heat was keeping them away. Understandably, it's flipping hot here. It was literally 118 degrees the other day.
Bummer.
But when we stepped down in faith, they came to partner with us to be here physically.
Yeah. And what's cool about that is it's not like we asked them to. Again, the Lord convicted them that they were needed to be here in this state for several reasons. What I hear them say all the time is to create, is paradise the word?
An oasis.
Oasis. To create an oasis for us, because we're making huge sacrifices. We're living in a pretty tiny house. After this, we're going to live in a trailer at a barn, right? Like, with no privacy, because we live on land that's a full-time business with another family that lives there, which I'm happy to do. I'm excited to do. But your parents felt this call from the Lord that they needed to create a safe space for us to take a load off.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Jesus. Thank you that you love me so much that you want me to have a moment to sit in a beautiful place with peace and the birds and the hummingbirds and the water.
And it is, and we've gone over there consistently, and every time I'm there, just like, man, this place is sweet.
Yeah.
And like, we soak up the sun and the water,
yeah,
and we enjoy the time at that beautiful house.
And also, create the oasis, but also to help care for our children.
Yeah.
Like, our kids, we've talked about this several times on the podcast, but our kids are our first ministry. I mean, it is the Lord, our marriage, our children before anything else.
That's a bedrock, a foundation that has to be healthy for us to do ministry well. We know that from the beginning.
Absolutely. And like, unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen to kids that are missionary kids or not pastors' kids, but kids of people who work at the church, because a lot of times they're left unsupervised because there's this to do or there's that to do. And so they're around, but they're not always under supervision. And probably because of my childhood and some of the things that I've walked through, with abuse, it's been top of my mind of making sure that my kids are safe, that, that the people that they are left with are safe, that we're not putting them in any kind of danger. And so for me, I think childcare was a huge concern in my heart and mind when the Lord called us to do this full time. Yep. And so when your parents called and said, hey, we're moving, like, Gigi, Lisa, your mom is like, I want to be a full-time Gigi. I want to help raise your kids and homeschool them and all the things. And it was such a breath of fresh air.
It was so clear. It was just another confirmation that we were on the right track and that God was going to provide.
He was moving. Yeah.
But also just the friendship and the partnership and the relationship that we have with those people, with my family, my parents.
Yeah.
God has done a work in our relationship, I feel like, over the last 6 months, and especially since they've been here, we're closer than ever.
Yeah.
We have people that we can call, rely on, and just like also spend time with and enjoy that.
Like, I'll probably text your mom 2 or 3 times a week and I'm like, hey, can you do this? Like, it's fine if you can't, but like this, that, and this. And there'll be like 7 things I need from her. And she just responds back, yes.
With the heart.
She's just like, yep, got it. But as somebody who has a lot to do and my children are top of my priority, knowing that they are going to somebody who loves them almost as much as I do, maybe the same, but probably not.
Just differently.
Right. But like to know that they are with somebody who loves them, loves Jesus, and cares about their well-being and is going to take time to be with them, teach them, speak to them, not just put up with them, but really love enjoying spending time with them.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, we love you. We're so grateful for you. Thank you for partnering with our ministry. That was the next biggest way. What would you like to jump into next?
Well, I think we would be completely remiss not to mention the tiny house.
Yeah.
We are living currently in a probably 200 square foot tiny house in the backyard of one of our partners. And when we met with them several months ago, or I don't know how long ago it was, but it was kind of a similar situation. Like, hey, we can't partner financially, but, we have this house in our backyard that they said to us, we built specifically to be able to house people that were in need, which first of all is so cool.
Amazing.
So cool.
What a ministry.
To have that kind of faith and to be that selfless, to share your space. Like, they have people in their backyard, in their house all the time because they house people. Like, they care more about the kingdom of God and meeting the needs of their community than they do their own privacy. That's so rare. First of all, so cool. But so they've offered for us to live here. And so kind of just to real quick recap, we're moving to a trailer at the barn, but we're waiting on several things before we can actually move to the trailer. But we felt like we know the Lord said it's time to give your notice at your house. So we gave our notice without knowing where we were moving. Yeah. How crazy is that? It was July 1st, and he was like, give your notice to the landlords. And we're both looking at each other like, what do you mean? Like, what?
We've done some crazy stuff, man.
Like, I have no idea where I'm going to live in 30 days, and we're just fine with it. It was nuts. But then, it's like 2 weeks into July. This is the craziest part. It's like 2 weeks into July, and we're packing the house. Like, we're leaving. I just don't know where we're going. And anyways, long story, not short, because it's been a while. They offered for us to come and live here, and so we are living here rent-free, which, because we're behind in our budget, because we haven't raised the support that our goal is yet, could not be a bigger blessing.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention the fact that our family is closer than ever. I think living in a tiny house could destroy some families.
Yeah.
But God has done a work in us in advance of relying on him and growing our family together closer, so that now that we're in this space, I mean, we're literally all in the same room. I mean, we got a curtain and they're upstairs, but like for all intents and purposes, we're in one room together.
Pretty much all the time.
And it's only brought us closer.
Yeah.
It's only made us more caring and tender for each other. And so that is a huge blessing in itself. Also, just the reality that we're learning that we don't need all this stuff. We don't need all this space. You know, we threw away so much junk. It was
an
mind-blowing.
embarrassing amount.
An embarrassing amount of stuff that we just had accumulated because we had the space to fill it. So we filled it.
Yep.
But then also, you know, they've opened their backyard to us, and another Oasis 2.0. I mean, an amazing backyard.
We got a little putt-putt.
A lovely pool, a putting green that the kids and I use, the four of us use 4 out of 7 nights.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable. I remember just sitting there like, God, only you would care for us like this, that I left this house, I trusted you, willing to sacrifice it all, and you brought
we shed
me
many tears. I mean,
absolutely.
specifically me and
Go
Arizona.
watch Therapy Session, episode 4.
We cried and cried and cried, thinking, how will it ever be the same? Will our family ever be the same? Will we lose what we had? Like, just so many fears, but going, okay, Lord, like, I will do it anyways.
Yeah.
I will do it very scared.
And then he just blessed us. Like, I love living here, honestly.
I know, I don't want to leave. I mean, I do want to go to the barn and I want to start the ranch and all the things, but I love it here.
We will look back on this season fondly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Tiny House, Steve and Jenny, we love you too.
We love you
You're amazing. Thank you for the blessing of this tiny house, and we will remember it forever.
Well, since we're throwing out thank yous, Jen, thank you.
Jen, you rock. Thank you for your blood, sweat, and tears to get us our full deposit, which is the next thing we'll talk about.
Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. So we move out of our house. When we moved in there 3 years ago, we paid $2,500 as a deposit to move into this house. And honestly, I kind of forgot about it. When we gave our notice and all the things, I was like, it just didn't really cross my mind that we might get this money back, right? But then probably like a week before July ends, I was like, wait a second, didn't we pay like this massive deposit? Like, hopefully we'll get it back. Because we were already planning on cleaning the house and doing it well, just because that's who we are.
And that's the honorable thing. That's what God would want us to do.
That's what God would want us to do. We are renting a house from another person. It is kind and considerate and points to Jesus to take care of it well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, long story short. How many times do you think I've said that?
we should call this episode Long Story Short.
Yeah. Long story long. Now I lost my whole train of
We were
thought.
talking about the deposit. So
Okay. So we have really 3 main people that helped us get this back. Jen, she came multiple times. She cleaned the baseboard. She cleaned the window seals. She cleaned the walls.
She went through at least 1 box of magic erasers on our walls herself.
Absolutely.
The bathrooms, she buffed out the bathrooms, all 3 of the bathrooms.
Your mom came. She did the kitchen, the cabinets, the blinds, the bedrooms. I mean, she spent
Not
hours.
to mention the trailer. She spent 10 hours cleaning the trailer.
Yeah.
Like sweat, hard work, because it was hot
sweat,
in
and
there.
Tears. Absolutely.
And so anyways, kind of that's a side point. So my mom comes in. Then my dad, once we've kind of gotten the bones taken care of, my dad
patches and paints
the walls. And I mean, the place looked amazing.
I walked away going, how did we get it? Not that we trashed it, but when you live in something for 3 years and you have
With
2 small
2 kids, 3 cats,
lots of ministry that happened in there.
bunch of young adults in the house.
Yeah.
There were some things. There were some issues, or just dirt and grime and stuff.
We did our best to clean it up, and we're going, okay, hopefully we'll get like $1,000 back. Like, hopefully that's what we'll get. Well, okay, so we have
a bare minimum. We wanted to not have to pay anything.
Yes. My biggest concern was, please don't make me pay you. I don't have any money to give you. So. Okay, so then we have the walkthrough. They come into the house, and several times, Stacy, the wife, she's like, you guys have done a great job. Like, you've done a great job. She's like, if you want to list this as a reference, please feel free. Like, you've done a great job. And so I'm like, okay, like, I think this is going to be good.
We're feeling good. We actually might get some back.
We might get our money back. Well, yesterday or 2 days ago, I get a text, and they returned our entire deposit, the $2,500. Just gave it back.
Yep.
And there were things, like, they asked us, they're like, is there anything that's broken? And there were 2 blinds that were cracked or broken. It was like...
We replaced some of the blinds downstairs.
But this was different ones.
Upstairs,
and they were broken, and I pointed them out, and I was like, yeah, like, these are broken. So I was like, figuring that they would take take that, but they didn't. They gave us the full thing back. And I mean, we did get to share the ministry with them, which was cool. Like, we gained another partner. Hopefully they'll watch this video.
Yeah.
But we had to share the ministry with them, and then they ended up giving it our full thing back, which helped our budget. Like, now I'm only $1,700 short.
But again, I think we literally had a payment a couple days later.
It's a cash flow game. That's the other thing, is like, this season is daily bread.
Yep.
It's daily bread. There's a $2,000 bill due today. Is there money in the account? Yes or no? I can't worry about the $2,000 one that's due on Friday.
Nope.
Because it's today.
That's its own thing.
And I have $2,000.
God repeatedly said, I do not give you the resources, the energy, the time for what you need tomorrow. I give it to you today.
My grace is sufficient today.
Like,
my mercies are new every morning.
Go read in Exodus when they're in the desert and God gives them the manna and it gives them the quail. He would make the manna rot the next day if you tried to take too much. Because he wanted to show us that he is a God of daily bread. He is a God that will care for our needs daily and to rely on him, not to plan for our future. And then, like, even, it's not that it was, this was the way that he created. I mean, it is, but on the sixth day, because of the Sabbath, and he didn't want them to work and collect on the seventh day, he made it so that it lasted the 2 days on that. Just like incredible stuff. Then you fast forward to Jesus. Jesus directly references that in the Lord's Prayer and says, when you pray, pray like this. Give us today our daily bread.
Yeah.
Like, focus. He's consistently told us to focus on what I give you today, because today is sufficient. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Tomorrow has its own things. Don't worry about that. If you are worrying about tomorrow, you are trying to play God by planning and preparing for the future.
And the scriptures say, like, what good will it do? How many of you can add an hour to your life by stressing over tomorrow?
Come on.
You can't. Stop wasting it. And that's even been a checkpoint for us over the last several months, especially since that 2-week breakdown. Whenever I do start to feel anxious and I start to, like, question what's going to happen, you'll say to me often, you're like, hey, it sounds like you're worrying about tomorrow again. Like, are you worried about tomorrow right now? And I've had to sit there and go, yeah, I mean, I am. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to do today. What is the next right thing? What can I do today? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost become like a joke, but a good joke of just like, it sounds like a lot of worry about tomorrow. Yeah. Sounds like tomorrow's problem.
You don't have to worry about tomorrow. Okay.
Get it.
Just cut that out.
All right. What else?
I think Friday food. That's kind of what's going through my head right now. Although we haven't been around the last few Fridays to receive it. But, another way the Lord has provided us that is not straight up monetarily is that there is, I don't even actually know who it is that's dropping off food at the barn. I really don't know. But the barn that we're moving to, the family that lives there, they receive a donation of some kind from either a food bank or I really don't know. But they receive this food and they give it out to, different people in need from their nonprofit status. Anyways, they've called us several Fridays in a row and are saying, hey, the food just got here. Come look at it and take what you guys need. And it's meat, bread, eggs, all
sorts of different stuff.
Cereal.
Right.
All
Snacks,
different kinds of things.
Various things. So, yeah, God is uniquely providing for us. He didn't give us the money to go buy those, but he just provided. He just put it in our fridge because it was there. So I love that. I think maybe talking about the trailer specifically.
Yeah.
The trailer's been a blessing in a lot of ways, in most ways. And the first way is that our partners, amazing partners, they wanted to sell it. They knew they needed to sell it, but they sold it to us for the remaining balance of the loan instead of what the
probably $10,000 to $15,000 lower or less than it was actually worth. So they could have sold it for.
So we paid off their loan, and essentially they donated $8,000 to $10,000 because they didn't actually charge us the full amount that the trailer was worth.
What I love about that story too, without revealing too much about their personal life, but what I love about that story is that something our partner shared with us. She's like, that trailer to me was my own safety net. It was my backup plan. It was if something goes wrong in our life, we can live in this trailer. And she's like, so I had been holding on to it, but I also knew that the Lord had been calling us to let it go for a while, but I held on to it because it was my opportunity to save me if things went wrong. And she's like, then when you guys shared the ministry with us, I knew that the Lord was telling me to give it up to you guys. And so I love that story because God is our safety net.
Yeah.
And he's showing her that now, that God is her safety net, that she didn't need this trailer.
Yeah.
That she could rely on him.
Yeah, I think that speaks to what we say. I don't remember where we heard this. This is a few years ago, but there's always someone waiting on the other side of your obedience. Obedience is not just about your relationship with God. It is absolutely, it's a big part of it, but there's someone who needs you to step out in faith, and it will be a blessing to them because you stepped out in faith. So we step out in faith, and it gave them an opportunity to lay this down. Like, that's an idol technically. If you're trusting in something to provide, that is an idol. And so it gave them an opportunity to lay down this idol.
Yeah.
And so anyways, there's always someone waiting on the other side of your obedience. Take the step of obedience God is calling to you, because it's bigger than you. It's always bigger than you every single time. So the craziest part about the trailer, we have a Ram 1500. We bought this truck about 18 months ago, which was just its own crazy thing. I remember we pulled up to the lot and we're like, that can't be the truck. That's way too nice.
Well, I remember when I found it online and I had this complete resolve. Like, this is the truck. Let's go get it. No buyer's remorse, no fear. Like, this is the one. This is the one we've been waiting for. Let's go get it.
And you meticulously combed through.
Oh, I'm a psycho.
All selling platforms.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime that we're looking for something, a rental house, an apartment, a truck, a car, a computer, whatever it is, you go hard. Maybe too deep, but I don't think too deep. But you go hard
but
to make sure you find the best value and exactly what we need.
Yeah.
And so you find this one. We go see it.
We see it.
Fully
we're
intending
blown away.
to buy it, and we just are like, wow, this truck is incredible. Like, beefy tires, like lifted. It's
old. Don't get excited.
It's
a 2006.
It's got some sunburn for sure.
But we see it. We're like, yes, let's get it.
This
so
truck
fast
is amazing.
forward.
So I know I like this truck. Like, it's been a blessing. Whatever. The kids love it. They call it the big red truck, and it's great. The trailer is technically would be too big for a 1500.
Yeah.
You really would need a 2500 or a 3500, like a half ton or a full ton truck to pull a trailer of this size, this weight, this length. However, with the tow package that was on the truck, and with the trailer being empty, totally dry weight, it was exactly at the 80% mark. Like, they give a general guideline that you shouldn't go, like, if your truck can pull 10,000, you should pull 8,000. Like, that's just a safety measure. It's also wear and tear on the truck, long-term health, whatever. Like, 80% is the number you should shoot for. With it dry, it was exactly 80% needed to pull this trailer. Like, just crazy stuff. And then on top of that, because he had towed his boat with it, the previous owner, he had lifted it like 3 inches in the front, 6 inches in the back, I think. And so, this heavy trailer, we're cranking it down, and the truck, of course, is lowering. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, if this was not lifted by it ended probably about 2 inches above the tires. If this truck was not lifted exactly the way it was, it would have been unsafe. It would have been maybe even grinding on the tires themselves. But God gave us this truck. He brought us to this truck 18 months in advance, knowing it was going to be exactly what we needed to get it from Texas to California, or Texas to Arizona.
Yep.
Mind-blowing.
Yep.
Mind-blowing. God's provision is so good. I think taking a quick pause, kind of back to the perspective and expectation idea, Mark chapter 4, you guys should go read Mark chapter 4. Like, the main idea, it's a bunch of different parables and teachings from Jesus. And the overarching idea is that if your heart is in a place to actually see truth, to seek truth, to want to understand what Jesus is really saying and understand, actually having faith that he is God and all these different things, if you are actually in the right mindset and have the right expectations, you will continue to get more. faith is an exponential thing. Like in there, it talks about the mustard seed, the parable of the mustard seed, where it's it's the smallest of the seeds. It's not technically the smallest of the seeds, but it's, whatever. Smallest of the seeds, and it becomes a massive tree, like a huge tree that becomes so thick it's like an impenetrable fortress. Yeah. And so it's a parable in explaining how faith and wisdom and spiritual maturity is not a linear path. Like you put one input, you don't get one input, you get 10 input, like output in terms of your spiritual growth. So like when you're spending time in the Word, if you increase it by 10 minutes, you're gonna reap an exponential harvest of spiritual maturity and wisdom in that. And so now that we're looking for God's provision and have put ourselves, it's like Bob Goff, put yourself on the edge of yikes so you can actually see God moving in your life.
Yeah.
So we put ourselves in a position to need God to move. Yeah. And so we were watching it. Like everywhere we looked, we were like, is this where God's gonna provide? Is this where we're like in a space and in a mindset to be aware of how God is moving in our life. And because of that, he's blessed us exponentially in the ways that he's showing up, because he was already working, he's already providing, he's already caring, but because our mind is open to it, we see it tenfold. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick.
Nice. All right. How else has the Lord provided for us? Let's see. We've covered these. I think something we were talking about the other day was just the blessing of community that the Lord has given to us. He has made it so crystal clear to Joshua and Rebecca that we are not doing this alone. Yeah. That there are people that believe in the mission that God has taken us on, the adventure that God has taken us on to start this ranch for kids who age out of the system. He has been so kind, and even for me, I have a difficult relationship with my mother. Well, at this point, I have no relationship with my mother at all, and I've had a very difficult one my whole life. And so we were kind of talking about, we were just recounting, there was a question at our church on Sunday that said, okay, if it was midnight and you hit a deer, do you have somebody that you could call and say, I don't know what to do, I don't know where I am, I don't know how to fix this, help me, And as I was talking to the Lord about that, I just saw face after face after face, woman after woman, women in their 40s, 50s that have played motherly roles to me and it was just maybe 20 or more people.
Well, yeah, we kind of started going back to the beginning of your life and just all the women specifically he has put to bear that burden of a motherly figure in your life, just over and over and over again.
Yes, but just for us as a couple too, not even just for me, but I just was face after face of people that God has put in our lives that have said, I will carry the weight with you, I will support you, I will be here, I will walk this life with you. And so, just knowing that we are not alone.
I think that speaks to Compass Church. We moved back to the house. We moved to this house. It ended up being 2 minutes down the road from Compass Church. For me to play drums, I need to be able to ride my bike because we only had one car at a time. God supernaturally plugged us into this church right off the bat. We knew that we'd been in Arizona periodically over the last 5 years before that, and we'd never found a community.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we got to Compass Church. So we realized that it wasn't God not coming through on his promise of providing community. It was just that it wasn't right yet. We were still learning other lessons, and he was waiting to root us like we are rooted now at Compass Church. And so a lot of that community comes from that church and comes from the relationships we've built over the last 3 years. Yeah. Again, God planned that 3 years in advance before being a missionary was even on the radar.
Yep.
Before stepping out in faith like this was even on the radar. So maybe it was on your radar, not mine yet.
It's always been on my radar.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I think we could talk about Worship Support Network now.
Yeah.
So since we've been at Compass Church, we've heard about this. It's essentially a contracting organization for churches to hire musicians for their worship team.
When in the case that there aren't enough volunteers.
Right.
It's not you don't get hired full time. You're an independent contractor in the case when a church doesn't have a drummer. Yep. That's the instrument that you play.
Yep. So I've been playing drums a long time at churches, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool, but it just wasn't quite right.
Well, the season was never right.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite right for us all the way leading up to about a month ago, where God kind of opened our eyes to say, because we've been going back and forth, like, okay, maybe we should get a part-time job in the middle of all of our crises. Like, should we get a part-time job? But we were steadfast, confident. God said, quit your jobs and pursue this full-time. So we're like, no, we're not going to get a job. But what are other ways maybe we could supplement? Maybe it's drum lessons. I don't know. Then it was like, okay, well, maybe a worship support network. And even then it was like, I don't love doing that just for the money.
Yeah.
Because I mean, worship is sacred to me. Like a worship environment, like playing drums for the Lord is a sacred thing for me. So it felt weird to do it for money. But then he opened our eyes to say, hey, use this as an opportunity to meet more people across the valley and spread the word of the mission and of the vision that God has put on our hearts for Ranch, for Age Out Foster Youth, to make connections all across the valley, build relationships all across the valley. And so with that being the main heart intent, and it's nice that we get paid, it's another
certainly helpful.
Certainly it's financial provision that God is providing, right? But the majority of that is for the relationships. And so I had my first assignment this last weekend, and I mean, God knocked my socks off with the amount of people I was able to share the ministry with, and already the way he's going to provide in that. I mean, I literally met a guy who said, hey, I've got a bunch of AV equipment.
Which is audio and visual equipment.
Audio, so it's like a PA system, a rack. And he's like, I don't have a heart to throw it away, but I got to get rid of it. It's a little bit outdated, but still works. Like, do you need anything like that? I mean, ultimately we said yes. And it's thousands of dollars worth of equipment that maybe we don't need right now, but we know because of our experiences, the way God works is he does things and sets things up months, years, decades in advance for when you actually need them. And so it's just like, man, that is insane. Not to mention the fact that I handed out like 10 of our prayer cards, had people praying for the ministry, building relationships already with a church just like 15 minutes down the road. Yeah,
they liked you so much they asked you to come back next
weekend. I'm going back next weekend.
Okay, well, I think we can kind of wrap it up. One more thing that was on our heart to share of the way that the Lord was providing for us that isn't financial is one of our partners is a Chick-fil-A operator. And, we used to work for Chick-fil-A. You guys have probably heard us talk about Chick-fil-A a lot. I love Chick-fil-A. If I was going to do anything else, it would probably be to own a Chick-fil-A, but I'm not.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. I really feel like maybe in our 50s we can go do it. I really think it would be fun, but whatever. That's not the point. Chick-fil-A is near and dear to our heart. So we meet the operator who's our partner because this is kind of crazy. So our old operator in California, he was visiting this operator on what is called an excellence trip where you go and learn from another restaurant.
They weren't even friends previously, but they just happened to plan it to where they were coming to that restaurant that day.
And that restaurant happened to be 2 minutes from my house, and we were taking our kids on dates. So you had our son.
I had a Brody daddy date.
And you took him to Chick-fil-A for lunch, and you walk in, and there's our old operator.
I was like, there's no way that's him.
There's no way.
But it was.
And then you text me, and you're like, he's here. And I'm like, I'm literally on my way. So I get Zoe, and we drive to Chick-fil-A, and we go, and we talk to him, and we get to share the ministry. And so the operator that's now our partner was there while we kind of briefly shared the ministry with our old operator. Well, I'm just trying to be respectful by not giving his name, so I know it's a little confusing. But the new operator, he hands you his card and is like, hey, if you need anything, here's my card, talk to me, whatever. Yeah. So probably 6 weeks goes by, and we're like, hey, I think we should call him.
You always knew. You were like, keep that card.
Keep it. We're going to need it.
We're going to need it
someday. So 6 weeks later, we're like, I think it's time to call him, but we don't really know him.
I mean, literally was that 5-minute conversation that I had because he left kind of quickly right after we'd started talking to Eric.
Yes. So we don't really know him, whatever. So we go and we meet with him and we share the ministry with him and his wife, who is amazing. I know she listens to our podcast. So, hey.
Shout out. You guys are the best.
You guys are the best. But anyways, we meet with them and we have this incredible meeting. We know a lot of the same people. Our stories are kind of similar.
Hearts for foster care and adoption and
right?
just the heart of Jesus is all over this conversation.
So anyways, at the very end, aside from the other, ways they're supporting the ministry, one of the things they said was, hey, if you need food, if you're having a group gathering for young adults and you want to do something catered, we'll cover it. The restaurant will donate that food to you. Which is kind of cool because in my life at Chick-fil-A, I worked catering. That was my life.
You did. You donated to Ryan House, which was kids
a lot of food.
Yeah.
And so just to be on the other side of this now, like, that's not financial provision. No one's handing me money, but my ministry will be better off because it's biblical to break bread together, to share in the joy. And, like, anyways,
we have a vision for, we've still got a lot of details to work out, but we have a vision for a young marrieds ministry that happens on Sunday after church, and it'll be Chick-fil-A on a Sunday because you can put stuff in the refrigerator and keep it cold and then reheat it the next day.
Chick-fil-A on a Sunday.
Chick-fil-A on a Sunday.
No one else is doing that.
Who wouldn't want Chick-fil-A on a Sunday? Like,
everyone wants Chick-fil-A on a Sunday.
That's not trademarked at all. That's not a thing yet, but it's just, again, another way that God is providing for us. So I know you said we're wrapping up, but the last real thing that we want to talk about is that God is providing financially. So we have embarked on a partnership development journey, aka support raising, specifically through an organization called Stewardship Ambassadors. Yeah. Dave has been an amazing resource, an amazing partnership development coach that has recalibrated the way we look at support raising. And it's discipleship. It's discipleship. Literally, he says, partnership development is a discipleship tool. You are meeting with these people, yes, to share the vision of the ministry, yes, to welcome them and ask them to partner with you in different ways. But more than that, it's to increase their faith. Yeah. To share, this is the way I'm stepping out of faith. What ways is God calling you to step out of faith?
Get in the game.
Yep, get in the game.
Absolutely.
And so, with that being said, we've had, 60, 70 meetings at this point, and we have $2,500 in committed monthly support, which, praise God, that's amazing. Yeah. That's a move of God in itself. The most hilarious part about this whole thing, though, when we first got married, back to Chick-fil-A, we were both working at Chick-fil-A together. We were living in the heart of Phoenix, one of the roughest areas of the state, but going to school full-time at GCU, and we were literally making $2,500 a month. And so we're back to a square one almost. And I think, again, it's a recalibration of...
It's humbling.
Super humbling. But it's what am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to go backwards according to world standards to go forwards in advancing the kingdom of God? And so, yes, we're 9 years down the road in our marriage, and we're making the same amount that we were making.
At least it's not less. Yes, but the Lord is providing for us. And the reality is our first support raising meeting ever was December 15th. Mm-hmm. So sure, it's been 8 months, but July, I don't think we had a single meeting. Yep. And it really wasn't even full time until probably May. Yeah. So it's really, I would say, if we're being fair, it's probably only 3 months of full-time support raising. Yep. And we're 25% funded of our...
More. We're probably 33% funded.
Yeah. So the Lord is providing for us. He will continue to provide for us. And I guess, the point of this episode is look for the Lord's provision. Yes. Anything good in your life, it's Him. Any blessing when it's a beautiful day outside, when you see the flowers that you like, when you see the mountains, when you see the view,
when you have a joke that makes you laugh.
It's Him. Everything that He has created is a love letter to you and me. Yeah. It is His will and desire that we see His glory and majesty and that we love Him and that we turn our hearts to Him. And so I guess, the encouragement, whether you're a missionary, whether you work for a church, whether you're a doctor, no matter what you do, look for the Lord's provision and put yourself in a position to need Him.
Yeah, man, that is so good.
Yeah.
I think we could end it there.
I think we're done.
Way to wrap it up.
Cool.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Barely Qualified podcast. If you want to join the movement and partner with us, there's some links down below. Follow the journey, hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with someone.
Always makes me feel so awkward. Every time it's just
you gotta stop saying that. It's fine. It is. We have a YouTube channel. This is a podcast, and I think every podcast I've ever listened to, they said hit the subscribe button,
share, subscribe,
hit the little bell button so you get a reminder whenever we post a video. I think the fundamental issue is that you don't want to. It's not about popping off. It's about
I'm not trying to be famous.
But a way to.
But I do want people to hear it.
A way to support this ministry is to get this message out there.
That's true.
There are people who need to hear what God is doing in our life. People need to see God moving. That's something we're doing at Young Adults. Is going to be an emphasis on talking about how is God actually moving in your life right now. Yeah. Because we have doubts. We all have doubts. We all have hard times. But if we're in a community and we're hearing how God is moving in other people's lives, it's going to bolster up our faith. So yes, like, share, subscribe, hit that reminder button, whatever you got to do, share it with someone.
That's enough. We'll see you next week.
Bye.